Welcome in, everybody. It is Saturday, May 11th, 2024. You're wondering, this is a little bit different for us. It's not a full podcast, but the Side Hustle podcast here is bringing you guys something very special today and moving forward once a month. We thought to ourselves, there are a lot of things in pro wrestling currently in the history of the entire business that could use some fixing. So, myself, my partner, Double A Anthony Alford, we are gonna try and fix it.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna be positive. Stop laughing. We're gonna be positive. We're gonna
try to be positive, especially for this episode.
We're gonna be positive. But as you can see,
we could think of nothing better to start our Let's Fix It series than with AEW. Now, if you ask certain people, Dave Meltzer, certain people, Tony Khan, certain people, they would tell you that their business is, flourishing, doing really well. Viewership says otherwise.
Ooh.
This past week, if you're looking for numbers, overall viewers, AEW Dynamite, the flagship show, the number one show in the company, PW Insider's top wrestling show of the year, drew 703,000 viewers. WWE NXT, the company they've apparently just trounced over and over again, the brand they beat in the Wednesday Night Wars, right, had 40,000 less viewers. That's it. 40,000. This is WWE's developmental brand, and they didn't bring stars down there. They didn't bring anyone down there besides Chelsea Green. Now, Chelsea Green is very talented, but she's not drawing 150,000 people to boost her viewership. Same competition. Both went up against NBA, NHL, all that shit. One's on USA, one's on TNT. There's a problem when you're only outdrawing the developmental brand's promotion by 40,000 viewers.
Live from a TV studio, live from a soundstage,
from Full Sail University,
from the soundstage of
and again AEW
WWE.
They have all the stars, right? They have the Bucks there. They had Kenny Omega on the show. They had Edge on the show. They have Chris Jericho there. They have all these people there, right? 40,000 people more watched.
So I guess what we're going to try to do today is address. I think we both believe the roster is really good. I think
we're going to say bloated. Oh, I'm sorry. We're being positive.
We're going to get to that though. But there are things that makes this, and I think really what this is. At one point, AEW was the hot ticket to town. Some might even say AEW was pretty hot the first couple of months of the year going into big business. I think
who was saying that?
There was some people who, was liking the direction AEW was going. Liking the direction.
Again, ratings said no, but their year-over-year ratings have been down every single month by like 10%. So they've been going in the wrong direction.
And then
see, he has the PW Insider membership, so
I do not have the membership, but
it's all fucking roses and Sundances over there.
No, I don't have the membership, but I was at the Dynasty pay-per-view.
Oh God!
And
we
this series, but this series is gonna really break down why they flat out lost the momentum with people who went to Dynasty.
To be clear, to Double A, this is not going to be it just happened recently problem. This is a problem since the beginning of when they started. So he's obviously highlighting something he just saw recently. Of course, the pay-per-view was, again, nothing. It's all what they do, right? Great matches. It's all going to be 5-star matches, right? But there was no actual storytelling and build to the matches, and B, anything following up after that obviously fell flat on its face, which is a normal problem for AEW.
And speaking of the follow-up, and then we'll get to, because we have steps.
Yeah.
Speaking of the follow-up, the first day I said, I'm like, hey, you need to feature this guy. Real Ospreay. Basically non-existent on television. Until, this past week? And now he's in a completely different feud. Nothing. And then the match of the year with him and Danielson, they end that match with an injury angle. Danielson comes back.
Doesn't sell it.
No, doesn't sell it. It's barely addressed.
He was gone.
And he's in a different feud.
He was gone for 2 weeks.
He was gone for a couple weeks, and that was it.
Yeah.
So they just
So obviously there are
Yeah.
some problems here.
There's a ton of problems, and we're here to do that.
Well, Double A, I think it's time. Let's fix it. So these are my 5 steps, and I try to make this as simple as possible so even someone as P-brain as Tony Khan can actually read it.
I messed up the transition. I clicked too quickly. Let's try this again.
Oh, you're doing the thing? He's doing the thing again. Let's fix it.
There
We're not editing that out. We're rolling by the seat of our pants on this one.
Out. No.
So as I was saying, this is 5 easy steps to get AEW on the right track, to fix what they have as their problem, and to actually build followership, viewership, build their YouTube clips back up, get everything back to where it needs to be so they can actually be considered a viable alternative. Not just an alternative, a viable alternative. So people, bigger stars, can actually want to go there, and that's so younger stars can actually get developed and processed the right way, so they want to stay with AEW long term, right? TNA, for all its faults, for some reason they were able to keep AJ Styles for 10 to 12 years. They were able to, keep some of these guys for longer because they were able to build them up individually. The show was trash, but we knew who AJ Styles was. I mean, that's what it was. Plain and simple, because they presented him enough in a light that was positive where it was okay.
And they were proud that he was homegrown.
Exactly.
They've made it known, him and Samoa Joe and others, like they were homegrown, like they were very proud of that, like TNA original.
Okay. So, again, we want to make this episode about a half hour in length, so we're going to try and move through this a little quick. So, guys, make sure you pay attention, all right? So, here we go. The first step on my 5 steps into fixing AEW, again, very simple. Like I said, even someone as P-brain as Tony Khan could read this and understand. Is first about Tony Khan. You can see the very top option there. He becomes president and CEO only of AEW and relinquishes his booking power. The problem with Tony Khan as a booker, plain and simple, is that he's not a booker. Plain and simple. He's a matchmaker. What he does is make dream matches. He doesn't build stories. I saw something very interesting. This was a Bully Ray and Eric Bischoff recently on the 83 Weeks podcast, which go watch that after this. Great show. Eric is kind of just very blunt about how he feels about this, and he has some positive things to say about AEW too, but for the most part, he's just honest. He's like, hey, I've done this for a long time. I've seen what's worked and what hasn't. Like,
I've done some things that has worked and has not worked.
Exactly.
Too.
If somebody knows and someone has an idea of what to do in the situation, it's probably going to be Eric Bischoff. But Bully Ray actually said this. Who has Tony Khan learned from in this business? What learning tree did he sit under? Any booker across the board that was successful sat under somebody. Bischoff sat under Vern Gagne in Minnesota, AEWA, right?
Yeah.
Even Vince under his dad.
Yeah.
Right? Paul Heyman, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
All
a lot
these guys.
of people under Dusty.
Yeah, a lot of people under Dusty.
You would have thought that maybe if somebody at AEW that was successful, might have been like the number 2 or number 3 at NXT under Dusty. Or even under Triple H.
Got
hated
people
Triple H.
there.
Yeah.
He's got, and I'm going to get to that in a second too, because there's one of my points on this list. He's got someone there that has a direct line to Dusty. A literal direct line. I'm not talking about a bloodline, but maybe I am. But
I think that's exactly what that
means.
Exactly
what I'm talking about. Yeah. So not bloodline, but bloodline. But
the bloodline.
The bloodline. But taking Tony Khan out of that role, he can still be the puppet master behind the scenes, but he needs to be business side. He needs to step out of the booking because he doesn't have experience. And you're never going to improve as a promotion when the guy that's making mistakes doesn't know he's making mistakes. Because the only person he's listening to is a guy who is doing his own thing with a fucking PW Insider and his 5,000 subscribers. So that's not good enough. That's who he's learning from. That's who is giving him advice, who he's listening to. No.
The Dave Meltzer tree?
Not Arn Anderson in the back, who's been in this business for fucking forever, right? At one point, he had Tully Blanchard back there until I believe he passed, which, again, sorry for his family and Tessa and all those people out there, too. He's got these veterans backstage, but he's listening to the Young Bucks and he's listening to fucking Dave Meltzer. That's a problem. These guys haven't been successful anywhere. They haven't. The Bucks were not over in Japan. They were barely over in Ring of Honor. That's because they attached themselves to the club and all that shit. There's nothing there. Dave has never been a part of a promotion. He wrote about other successful promotions. Do you see what I'm saying? There's no correlation to actually being successful in the wrestling industry, running a promotion. If Tony Khan wanted to get into running magazines, talk to Dave Meltzer. He's got plenty of experience doing that. But not when it comes to actually running a wrestling promotion physically. Tony needs to get out of that role. And actually, he needs to get out of that role and watch the person he puts into it that has experience, what they do. So when it's their time to leave or retire, then maybe he'll be ready to take that role. Maybe. But he needs to separate himself from that. Second thing on the list. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega need to dissolve their EVP partnerships. Now, again, this is all things that we think should happen. Is it going to happen? Of course not, right? Because the Bucks want control over everything. But you can see the issues here. The influence they have is negative. They're the intro of the show now because they're heels, right? No one gives a fuck. Nobody cares.
But Kyle, it draws heat.
No, it doesn't. It literally, the crowd goes mild. I'm not even kidding with you. I watched the opening of Dynamite. I watched the opening of Dynamite, and I watched that video. I turned it the fuck off.
And Kyle needed.
I'm like, who are these people?
Kyle needed to take medication after he watched the opening.
I took Tylenol. You think I'm fucking kidding? You think I'm kidding? You think I'm kidding? I actually got a fucking headache. People, for all the cheesiness of the WWE intro, which I get, the new one too is kind of funny with Triple H in the background with the stars and all that stuff. It's cool from a standpoint of he's talking about the universe. They actually tied that in, but at the same point, it's kind of cheesy. But you see all the stars for WWE over the years, the current ones as champions. You see the Romans, the John Cena's, the Hulk Hogan's.
Although the Wyatt one from last night scared me a little bit. We'll talk about that next week.
Fucking cool.
That scared the crap out of me.
But nevertheless, okay, this is the problem. If you're just showing two idiots and Jack Perry who aren't over with anybody, nobody knows who the fuck they are. If I'm watching a wrestling show and that's your intro, it's like, it's because of these guys. It's because of the Young Bucks. They want to be on everything. That's the problem.
Hold on. Let me say, I disagree on one thing, but it will still make sense. I think they know who they are. I think the bigger issue is they don't care.
I don't know if they know. I think they're fucking stupid.
No, I'm saying the fans. I think what's leading to the viewership issues.
Do the fans know who they are? Because I don't know. Unless you watch AEW religiously.
But the thing is, they don't care. That's the thing. Like, even if they don't know, like, you want good characters, the fans will go out of their way to learn and care. Hence the new Bloodline. People will go out of their way to see it and to learn about the characters. People don't care about Jack Perry. People don't care about the Young Bucks in this row. And that's the main problem.
You're right. And Kenny, it's no offense to him. I think Kenny has actually done some good things recently, but the problem with Kenny is too, like, I don't know if he's ever going to come back. I mean, they're doing this injury angle, which, again, if you're getting hit when you have diverticulitis, you're playing a very rough game there, buddy. I don't know.
So you're responsible.
Well, I don't think he has like a family or a wife or kids or anything like that. So again, if he's making his own decisions, then there you go. I mean, I'll die in the ring. Okay, whatever, man. Play it safe. Like, get your surgery, figure that shit out before you try and do anything.
Same company that was going to let Darby Allin climb Mount Everest. So.
Said he got hit by a bus, but nevertheless, I mean, that's true, by the way. I feel so bad.
He was being a good citizen.
I feel so bad about that. Nevertheless,
we wish the best of your recovery, Darby.
We do. We hope you get better, buddy. But that's my number 2. They need to get out of that role. They need to become wrestlers and not EVPs. There's a reason why Cody Rhodes left, tie into these idiots, but also because
he had to take Tylenol after every episode.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too fucking much. It really is. Not fake producing the show when you're back there like, oh yeah, good work, guys, all that bullshit. No, like the actual being of an executive vice president of a company is taxing. It's a lot of work. You're not doing any of that work. Let's be honest.
Now your third point here, I'm not sure if Dustin has. You're gonna explain. Mm-hmm. Why is Dustin best fit for this row?
Okay, so I mentioned the first one, moving Tony out of the booking role, so that obviously leaves an opening. I also mentioned that all the people that had people to learn from, under the learning tree, so to speak, right, of who they need to base their booking off of. They watched mistakes be made. They know how to correct those. They've watched things go well. I can think of only maybe 1 or 2 other people backstage that would make sense. But he's there, and you're not fucking using him. So if you're going to pay Dustin Rhodes to be on AEW, let him be your booker. Learning under Dusty, being in the business for, 50 years, 40 years, whatever Dustin's been, because he's older than Cody, obviously, by a lot.
20 years.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rock.
The original American Nightmare, Dustin Rhodes. People don't know that. But why not? He runs a wrestling school. The Nightmare Factory, him and Cody have that together, right? I mean, they can actually build a developmental program. They could turn Rampage or Collision into a developmental show. Hell, fucking move that to Tuesdays and have that compete with WWE. That's more of a correct barometer about how you're doing when it comes to building up new talent. But nevertheless, this is my point. He has that experience. A couple other guys, like I mentioned before, Arn Anderson, a couple of those guys have it. But I think Dustin has the ability to speak to these people because he does teach on a regular basis. And he's not going to sugarcoat shit. As you saw in some of the promos he's cut recently on The Rock and all that stuff too, when Cody was going through his thing. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And if he has nothing to do anyway, give him a chance.
Yeah, if you're not consistently putting him in stories.
He's not on TV.
He's not on
he's
TV.
Not. He's just fucking sitting there.
And the crazy thing, he's not on television.
Like 90% of this fucking roster, he's not on TV.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. He's not on television. But him and Cody were still in probably one of the more notable matches in the company's history with the brother versus brother.
Some say it was the best match AEW's ever had.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I will not argue with that. Yeah. It might have been. And it led to the memorable, I need my brother. You know, like that whole, that was crazy. That was worth, when the product was new, that was worth paying the $50 at that time because, Vince was crap.
They had a lot of good faith too when they first started because we're the alternative, and we have all these people that were former WWE guys, and we have these other guys that have been on the independents forever, and they're going to finally get their opportunity. And the goodwill, the good faith in the promotion has worn off. 100%.
It's been 5 years.
It's been 5 years now.
And actually coming up on ironically we do this with Double or Nothing coming up.
Yeah, 5-year anniversary.
5 years. Yeah. What has happened in the 5 years?
Your excuse is no longer, we're a new company, we're building our followership. No, all your views have dropped over the past 2 to 3 years because of some of this shit. Number 4 on the list, and this should be kind of fucking, obvious, is every single Dynamite, your flagship show, the show that you put your fucking hat on and say, this is the one, right? Start out with your world champion. Either in a promo spot or in some sort of angle that's building towards a larger story. Again, we are not bookers. But some things are fucking common sense. If you're going to put the title on Swerve Strickland, who has worked his way into being one of the best people on your entire show, you don't put him fourth 11 minutes after the show opens on Dynamite in a match where he doesn't say anything 2 or 3 days after he won the championship. I don't care what the fuck's on TV. He goes first.
But what about Orange Cassidy?
Fuck Orange Cassidy.
He has to.
He led the show. He led the show fucking this past. I think it was Wednesday.
This past Wednesday.
Yeah. Fuck Orange Cassidy. No, he is a comedy act that needs to be in the middle of your show.
Who, by the way, doesn't know how to sell and doesn't know how to put over talent.
You pissed Double A off.
No, I'm just saying because if you're gonna take a pile driver outside the ring on the steel steps, you don't get up. You don't get up.
You had to adjust your volume there. You probably just blew everyone's speakers out.
You don't get up.
Yeah.
You stay down. You stay down. I'm sorry. We're supposed to be positive. I'm sorry.
You went negative really quick. I thought I was going to be.
No, it's just that these are little things. This is why they stink.
He shouldn't.
This is why. These are the reasons why they stink. It's constructive criticism. But we're how can we do this? This is who we are. You sell. And this is to your point about not learning under the learning tree and not having people there to teach these things.
People have talked about it.
And the people that are there that should be teaching it, this is how they do it around the world. This is the United States.
No one gives a fuck about what you did in Japan. The average viewer at home in the U.S. does not care about your 5-star match in Japan. They want to be pulled in. They want to get all of their senses engaged, and they want to lose themselves in your product. Not just chant, "This is awesome" from their fucking couch. No one does that. Sorry. We'll pop. Oh, what a move. And then they'll Click.
That turned.
Click.
Bully Ray talked about it too. I turned
Yeah.
the channel. Well, when that, I'm sorry. I know it's not about Orange Cassidy.
No,
but
it is.
That
ties
kind
into
of
it.
pissed me off
Because he led the fucking show that one day after the Bucks and Jack Perry made their grand return with the tag titles.
Yeah.
The first thing that happened on TV inside the arena, it was Dynamite a couple weeks back, was Orange Cassidy getting his ass beat by Trent Beretta. Who the fuck cares? Why is that your lead? Why? Because Tony likes Orange Cassidy.
Who wasn't on the pay-per-view.
Name another fucking promoter anywhere where Orange Cassidy is your main event, your lead. He's in Alpha Academy in WWE right now, and he's like in Tozawa's role.
And imagine him opening the show every week. Opening Raw every single week. Opening SmackDown on Fox every single week.
The gist of this is lead with your champ. And have a
yeah.
story for your champ. Not have him be a placeholder champ until Will Ospreay takes the title from him. Have a story for him because he fucking earned it. He was over. You pulled the trigger 3 months too late because you had no idea and you didn't adjust. That's the point of having a story, is that you can deviate.
Uh-huh.
Just because we're writing something doesn't mean we can't change it a little bit here, change it a little bit there. No experience in the role. He doesn't know how to adjust to people getting over. So, they're getting over. Let's put him in a big match. That's not what fucking storytelling is. Why? Why is he having this match with this random person for no fucking reason? Because he's over now? Dude, every single Dynamite, if it's not going to be Swerve, make it Tony Storm. Make it someone who's actually important, who you're trying to build a story through. And if it's not going to be Swerve at the 8 o'clock hour, at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock hour.
And you mentioned with Swerve,
when you're bringing people in, most people are going to be watching.
When you do, and Triple H's WWE does this really well, you could show Swerve walking into the arena, suit and tie, to open the show.
Yeah.
And you can say, we're going to hear from Swerve tonight.
Tease it. Top of the hour, 9 o'clock. Fucking Tony Schiavone loves doing that shit, right? Top of the hour, 9 o'clock, Swerve Strickland going to talk to the AEW universe about his next opponent or who's going to be next for him, that kind of... It's so simple. And people are going to say, you're just copying WWE. Well, the problem is, it fucking works. It works. And you don't have to be exactly like WWE with that. These guys and girls are all individuals. They can all do their own thing. You can give them more freedom than even now WWE has. With being like, hey, we want you to talk about you're facing Christian Cage at the next pay-per-view, right? Come out at 9 o'clock, big entrance, all that shit, get the crowd hyped up. Go to town on Christian.
The one positive I will give them as far as trying things out, I do like how they are featuring like with some of what they believe are the big angles. They did it with Swerve and Christian. They have a countdown clock randomly. Like they will pop in like, hey, 11 minutes from now, Christian and Swerve, they're coming out.
Yeah, tell your low audience in that quarter hour that coming up at the next top of the hour is when the guys, instead of talking about it from the beginning of the show when you have the most people watching, you're gonna do it at like 8:45.
Yeah,
stupid. It's like no one's ever done this before. That's why it's so frustrating. Last thing, Double A, and this may be one of the most important things: no more shots at WWE. Stop. Literally stop. You're saying that I'm the one, and some people in our comments have said I'm the one that's obviously breeding tribalism with the WWE versus AEW shit. It's AEW. They're the ones taking the shots. Tony Khan in particular, but a lot of people. We talked about it before. It's our most watched video now on TikTok. 35,000 views. With people taking shots at Cody fucking Rhodes, who all he did was put this company over, even after he left, because he knew it was full of shit. And these guys, the Bucks, were taking shit over and all that stuff. He's like, you know what? I'm out. But I'm friends with everybody there. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope everything's going well for him. We still talk on occasion, whatever. I'm hoping everything is going great. But we're over here. We're focused on this. You're talking shit about that guy. Like, do you see why people like me have responses that we do when leadership over there is letting people do that? Like, it's literal garbage. So fucking stop. Stop taking shots at the other company and focus on yourselves. I put a quote up there.
Yeah, I'll read the quote here.
Do you want to read it?
Yeah, I'll read it here. We are who we are. They are who they are. Much success to them, but this is about us.
Make it about you. Don't make it about them. The minute you bring WWE or some sort of reference to WWE into your situation, you lost. Because everyone's thinking, oh, yeah, WWE. Click. Oh, they have a show on Friday. Okay, I'll just watch that. Don't even bring them up.
And that was TNA's problem.
TNA wanted to be WWE.
Mm-hmm.
AEW has always presented itself as the alternative, as we're going to be the competition. We're going to be something different. So why the fuck are you talking about them constantly? This is not WCW versus WWE. Obviously. Because your numbers are nowhere near what WWE is doing. Nowhere. So until you are actually viable competition for WWE, shut your mouths and do your jobs. Stop.
Shut your mouths and enjoy the ride that AEW is about to take you on.
Because at the end of the day, you have no room to talk. None. You want to flex over beating the developmental brand? I still don't get that. You didn't beat WWE at anything. Triple H is laughing about it probably. Oh, they drew 20,000 more people on viewership for us. Yeah, it's our developmental brand. Raw and SmackDown at their worst ratings, we're still outdrawing AEW Dynamite by hundreds of thousands of people. At their worst. This is like 2010s, awful booking, all that shit. Still doing better. Oh, they were around for a lot longer. People were leaving. That's why this company became what it was to begin with. Right?
Well, their peak, AEW's peak as far as viewership, was 2021. You know, I saw the graphic of this past week's episode of Dynamite.
They would get over a million. They would get over a million viewers.
Over a million.
Been a while, hasn't it?
Back in 2021. And that was, at that point in time, they were focused on just themselves. You know, there were a couple, Cody had the whole, the chair thing with Triple H. So there was a couple of misfires.
It's one thing if it's once in a while and it's one of your main guys.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
For the first couple years of their existence, it was just about them. I think, honestly, Kyle, they are still so butthurt about CM Punk leaving.
I think when Cody left, that's when shit really started hitting the fan. You're starting to realize
they lost
more and more.
their identity.
He was the guy. He was the face. He was the guy that announced that AEW was having a show. They were doing all these things. He saw the writing on the wall that they were taking the company away from him. There's nowhere where we want. This is not what we wanted to do, guys. We wanted to do this and this and this, and now you're taking it this way. I don't want to. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And now he's gone, and they've never forgiven him. And now Okada is the new Cody because he's blonde and has a championship. So, congratulations, 700,000 viewers. Again, NXT drew 660. NXT, no John Cena there, no Undertaker, no Pop, none of those guys. Chelsea Green.
No Pop.
Chelsea Green was the only one from the main roster. Maybe Natalya may have been there too, possibly. I don't know. I didn't watch NXT. But Chelsea Green had a title match with Roxanne Perez. That was the main event. That's it. No big stars from the main roster. Your entire roster versus NXT, you only outdrew them by 40,000 people. Same competition. NBA games on both nights. NHL games on both nights. What's your fucking excuse for barely outdrawing the developmental show? Not Raw, not SmackDown, NXT fucking T.
And the numbers, and I want to check here real quick because a good Twitter follow as well is WrestleNomics.
Yeah.
Because they do, on Twitter, they do the quarter by quarter breakdown. And that's why we had on our show a couple weeks ago why quarter number one is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important because if you fail Q1, you're done. You're done.
Well, after quarter one, that's when their viewership goes away. AEW Dynamite has the Big Bang Theory leading into to the show, so people watch the Big Bang Theory. It's got a cult following. It's gonna always be there. It's a pop. They've made multiple spin-offs off the show. People watch it just for comfort. Essentially, it's on. So that first 15 minutes, AEW's usually has their highest number. They lose hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of people. Usually it's in the eights. And then for 800,000-ish, somewhere in there. By the end of the show, they maybe have ticked back up a little bit to like the mid-sevens. But in the middle of the show,
well, they just get the 9 o'clock bump. But
even the 9 o'clock, it doesn't really happen that much anymore.
Yeah.
Because
really.
people don't give a shit. They just don't care. Because you don't care.
Yeah.
These 5 steps for me is what kind of gets things moving in the right direction. Again, removing Tony as Booker. Young Bucks and Kenny Omega take a step back from those EVP roles, at least on screen. Stop saying it. Behind the scenes, I don't give a fuck. If you guys are actually EVPs, one, if you are, do the fucking job, because I guarantee they're not doing the job
Nope.
of an EVP.
Nope.
But not on screen anymore, none of that shit. Make Dustin Rhodes the new Booker of AEW. Begin every Dynamite with a champion, the champion, either the men's or women's champion. Every top of the hour should feature them.
FTW champion?
Fuck that champion.
We'll get to that in a second.
Well, whatever. But like, just either
A
your
main
world champ,
champion.
either your
A
world
main
champ or your
champion.
women's world champ. Either one lead the show off. Preferably Swerve because he is the guy. He's your guy.
Yeah.
He's the face right now. And the last thing, again, no more shots at WWE. Now, Double A has some things he wants to add.
I do. And I think you'll have. I think you'll. So I asked Kyle before the show. I just wanted to get these numbers here. So how many people are on AEW's roster?
Now, this
currently?
includes Ring of Honor, which is, you have it listed in there. 196 people are on this AEW roster. 196. 196.
Yeah. You don't need that many people.
Are you really using?
You don't need that many people. Look,
and this is after. This is after they cut those 10 people that weren't even anywhere near anything before.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a proponent of. You don't want to see people lose jobs. I understand that. And
let them go so they can actually work somewhere.
But they have
if they care, if they just want a paycheck, well then whatever.
196. But that's WCW levels. That's WCW levels of just people who are just not being put over at all.
To be fair to WWE, probably is close to that number, but again, they have a developmental brand, so a lot of those roster numbers are probably coming from trainees, stuff like that down there. If you look at WWE's overall number, it's probably close to that too. But the problem is they're not trying to put all these people on TV. A good chunk of those people are obviously training at the Performance Center, getting ready to become TV stars.
So here's what I look at, Kyle. I look at are they featuring guys on the main roster with a consistency? And from what I saw, even with Will Ospreay and Danielson, the answer is no. There's no follow-ups with major stories. If the Young Bucks are on your television for 50% of your show, that means you don't need 196 people on your roster. If that's how you're going to operate business, you don't need that. So cut this down by at least 20%, 25%. Now,
we did the math here on this, by the way. On the next one.
Let me skip to number 4, and then I'll come back up.
You're jumping around. I went in order. You're all
I
over the
know,
place.
but it's going to tie in.
It's all right. Double A can't read, so it's fine.
Tony Khan doesn't have the ability to make tough decisions. He just doesn't. It's not his personality. And, okay, fine.
A little bitch.
So you need to bring in a strong number 2 who, first off, knows how to produce television. I look at it this way. If Tony's not going to give up booking, I almost look at it kind of like a Jerry Jones factor. Dallas Cowboys could be a lot better if Jerry Jones was not the general manager of the team, but he owns the team, so it's kind of an obstacle that you can't overcome. So, all right, fine. You have these ideas. Let somebody, put these ideas out, but let somebody who knows television fully flesh out the ideas and execute it. Hire a Nick Khan type person who knows how to grow your brand to do that. But also,
well, Nick Khan is the business side. He doesn't have anything to do with TV.
But
just so you know.
Well, but I do. They need somebody from that standpoint.
What you're saying is they need a booker.
They kind of do.
Because what you just described is what the booker does.
I understand that.
So technically, you agree with me.
I understand that. But I'm saying Tony enjoys. He owns the company.
He can sit there and be a part of the booking committee if you wanted to do that.
He doesn't want to be part of the booking committee. He wants to run it. What I'm saying is,
it's not going to work.
You
just made the point.
I understand that, but I'm just saying if that's going to be, if that's the case, then have your ideas in mind. And I think we're all describing the same thing.
Yeah.
Have your ideas in mind And then you need somebody to basically flush it out, your booker, flush it out, boom, put it in order to show, basically. So if you want Orange Cassidy on your TV every week, you need somebody to tell him, hey, he shouldn't be in the open. Put him at the 8:45 segment. You kind of need that. But I wanted to jump to number 4 for this reason. You need somebody who could be the bad guy, but is respected in the locker room.
Yeah.
So if you're going to cut 25% of your roster, and Tony doesn't want to be the guy to do it, then somebody come in from the outside and cut those bastards.
So you're saying he needs to hire John Laurinaitis.
But
don't do that, by the way.
Don't hire him.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
But Vince was not a nice guy. Like Vince Macho, he was not afraid to make tough decisions.
Vince also wouldn't do that. He would make John or someone or head of talent relations do that. So I mean,
Tone, my what I try to do in my list here. Some of the things, sometimes business is going to operate the way they operate, but it's within the parameters of what can be fixed. Because the number one, honestly, if we were to really break down to it, remove Tony Khan as the real fix it.
He doesn't need to leave the company. That's not the problem. It's just that he doesn't know what he's doing.
That's what I'm saying.
He just doesn't know. And the
that's
problem
what
is,
I'm saying.
If you bring in a number 2 in a situation, which again, this is all hypothetical, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, is he going to listen to them? At the end of the day, he's still going to be able to make that final decision because it's his company, right?
I get that.
They almost need to become publicly traded. That would make things a lot different.
And the other thing too.
It also boosts viewership by a lot because people would actually be invested in the program.
Well, the other thing too, though. Let's see what happens with this TV deal. What I'm saying, though, again, you need to respect the guy in the locker room, a strong number 2 who will be that bad guy that will tie into this. You got to cut that roster down. Got to cut it down.
Can we talk about the championships?
Let's get to the championships. You did the math.
So there are, including Ring of Honor, and apparently the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, which is now being defended on AEW TV every week. There are 14 championships. We told you earlier the roster.
I dare you right now, without looking, name all the champions.
I can't. I'm not going to. There's no point. Why?
Swerve. Let me see if I can do it. Swerve. Tony Storm.
Roderick Strong.
Don't help me. I can do this.
Well, I named one already.
Swerve. Tony Storm. Whoever you just named.
Roddy's pretty good. I actually like him as a champion, but I don't. I mean, that's again, if that was their one mid card title, I'd be good.
Willow. Who's facing Sasha or Mercedes. That's all I got.
So I can name more, unfortunately. I don't know why I know this. Christian, or not Christian, but Edge is the TNT champion.
Oh, Adam
Copeland.
Adam.
The tag champs are the fucking Bucks. Which
I forgot about that.
Yeah, right.
Can I just say this real quick? I completely forgot. With all this nonsense with the Young Bucks, completely forgot they're actually champions.
Trios champions are the Bullet Club Gold, I believe.
Yeah.
FTW champion is Chris Jericho, because that makes sense. TBS champion you said was Willow already.
Mm-hmm. TNT champion, who is it?
That was Edge.
Adam.
So they have 8 there. I think there's 9 total titles in AEW with the Ring of Honor stuff with the
John Moxley, IWGP champion.
Yeah, he's the heavyweight champion in New
Japan.
Who, for some reason, is now just defending the title on AEW whenever.
You get my point, and we actually
the math.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you did the math.
196 wrestlers divided by 14 champions.
Mm-hmm.
That means that 1 in every 14 superstars in AEW has a belt. Not one to hold up their pants. One that says they're important.
So if you ever want to talk about if this is the generation of participation trophies, this is it right here. This is it here.
Well,
I mean, this is the equivalent to everyone wins a YMCA trophy. You know, like this is it. This is the gold mine of the news talk radio format right here. Fox News should rate this company right now. Should absolutely just go all in. Because everybody wins a championship. Everybody's great. Everybody's in good standing. No. not everybody is champion because not everyone gets to be champion.
I could get behind the raid thing, but
Oh, yeah.
it doesn't have to be Fox News. It could be anybody.
I got you.
Yeah.
But not everyone gets to be champion.
My favorite point in all
That's
this,
actually pretty funny.
yeah, of all this is the third point, which I thought was interesting.
I let me say this real quick about the second one again.
Sure, go ahead.
All you need are your men's world champion, women's world champion, secondary men's champion, secondary women's champion. Fine, make it the Continental champions. Do some unification matches. And then tag champs. That's it. That's it. That's it. And then Ring of Honor, which we'll get to right now, Ring of Honor world champion, Ring of Honor tag team champion, mid-card Ring of Honor champion.
TV champ or whatever
That's
it
it.
is. That's all you need.
That's it.
And even then, that's a lot of champions.
And that's a ton.
But you did just cut down from I think it was 14 to 9.
Yeah,
So I mean, that's
it's doable.
reasonable.
It's reasonable.
One
it's
title
doable.
for each division, right?
Yeah.
The reason why TNA got a little bit stale was because we have an X division and a Y division and a XYZ division and all that. It's like, dude,
But there was a purpose to the X division.
Which-
They've
which-
always said,
sure,
though,
but-
and that's what I'm saying. At least with the X division in TNA, they always made it a point to explain the mission statement of the X division.
yeah,
They've always made it a point. A lot of these championships in AEW, there's no mission statement behind the championship. For example, what's the difference between the Continental Champion and the International Champion?
Oh, I
Championship.
forgot about that. Who is the Continental Champion? That's the one we forgot.
I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
I don't know.
I
and
know
don't care.
International was Roderick Strong. I know that. He's the
And
international.
for a while, the international champion, I think, was Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, for like a year. Which,
For a year.
God.
And that's my point. None of these championships, except for the world title, obviously, and the women's world title, have mission statements. And we get upset because coming off of Dynasty, and Kyle made a great point about Swerve and why he should be featured, the main draw of that show was about a championship that's not in your company. And now the main angle of your television shows is not about Young Bucks as the tag team champions. It's the Young Bucks as it's the Young Bucks as EVPs. That's not.
no one ever gave a shit about that.
No one cares.
No, they were
No.
happy. They were happy they started the promotion. A lot of people were, right? Because it was WWE was in a rough spot. They were kind of struggling. That was around the time I think when the Fiend Seth Rollins match happened too. So
Mhm.
people were like tuning in to AEW. They're like, okay, we
Mhm.
need to see something different because this is not good.
And when AEW first started, they didn't have that many championships.
No.
Very few. So it was very easy to follow
Mm-hmm.
AEW. It was a big deal in 2019 when they didn't announce a world champion right away. They build to Chris Jericho winning the world title in 2019.
The last good thing he did in AEW, win the world champion. He was a good inaugural champion. I'll give him credit.
Yeah.
Really good.
All right.
Hey, look, I said something positive.
What's the point of Ring of Honor?
Believe it or not, Ring of Honor probably has more of a name than AEW at this point, as far as people knowing of it. Like, I knew of Ring of Honor before.
Like
we've heard of it
I
before.
think every single person watching
Everyone
our show.
came from it. Everybody came. AJ Styles came
Yeah.
from it. Daniel Bryan came from it.
What
CM
is
Punk
the
came
point
from
of
it.
today's Ring of Honor?
To not be on TV?
I'm not saying get rid of it.
Make it to developmental.
I'm saying what's the purpose of Ring of Honor within? First of all, is it within the world of AEW
It
or
is.
not?
Well, Tony bought it. So
But what I'm asking is it within the world of AEW or not?
like,
Tony Khan can own Ring of Honor, and Tony Khan can run Ring of Honor separately. He should have somebody else, but just follow my
he really
point
should
here.
have someone else running it.
But just follow my point here. Tony Khan can own and operate Ring of Honor. It doesn't need to be within the world of AEW.
Well, if you build up stars in there too, and don't have them cross over and stuff like that, which I think they've done, like Athena, formerly Ember Moon of WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Like haven't really had her compete too much on AEW TV, which is good because I think she's the women's champion over on Ring of Honor.
But
So,
Eddie
like,
Kingston's there.
Yeah, he's the TV champ or whatever it is.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Eddie's
Yeah.
there.
It's like what?
I understand. I understand the Briscoes are that was a special situation. I understand. put that aside. I understand the situation. But it's just in general. You don't have a TV deal, basically. Ring of Honor. They don't have a TV deal. You have 3 AEW shows. And Tony refused to put Ring of Honor and, replace it with Ramp or the story was TBS didn't want Ring of Honor. So, okay, they don't want Ring of Honor. First of all, why did you buy Ring of Honor in the first place if you didn't know that the network didn't want to put Ring of Honor on television?
He bought it because they were cheap.
And then
and his buddies told him to buy it.
Again, what are you doing with it? What's the point? Are we using Ring of Honor to say, hey, if you do good work in Ring of Honor, maybe you'll be brought up to AEW?
Developmental brand.
But you can't when you already have 200 people on the AEW roster. There's no room.
I'm okay with having 2 shows, like with Collision and Dynamite, again, booked properly. That's not a problem. Saturday night, common sense says most people just aren't home at 8 o'clock or whatever time on a Saturday night. They're out, they're with friends, they're doing stuff. They're not really paying attention to TV. I get previously in other generations, maybe people were home Saturday nights, whatever it was, but nowadays, dude, I got a kid and a wife. I'm usually not even home Saturday.
Yeah,
nights.
and
I'm
those shows
shit.
were on at 6:05.
Yeah, they were early, so you could watch it, and then after they were done, the hour show was done.
Mm-hmm.
You could, move on with your life. You could go out and do that kind of stuff. This is later in the evening. It's the inability or want to actually go head to head with Raw or SmackDown because they know what would happen.
Oh yeah,
they would get fucking obliterated.
Yeah.
If Dynamite was on Mondays, which who knows what's going to happen, or if Collision was on Fridays, wrestling nights in a lot of people's households, just based on generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're getting.
I even ran a scenario of if you put Dynamite on Mondays on a cable channel against Raw on Netflix, I think more people still under this direction, way more people would flip over to Netflix.
It also depends on if the company that AEW works with, if it is Time Warner, if it's somebody else, are they willing to move it?
Right. But
because they know a lot of people are not going to be watching, wrestling fans are not going to be watching cable on Mondays because they know Raw is now going to be on Netflix. Because this WWE will tell you 1,000 times that they're going to Netflix. They're going to fucking Netflix.
You now. They're telling you now.
That was a good rundown. I think of what we need. I do have one more thing in the bold underneath if you want to say
At the very bottom is the pick the correct stars to lead your company. We could mention all the bullet points in the world.
Yeah.
And we have, and I think all of them in some way, shape, or form will help. At the end of the day, Vince McMahon picked Hulk Hogan in the 80s, and he picked the right guy. WCW picked the NWO in the 90s, and it worked until it got overused. But it led them to 83 straight weeks of beating Monday Night Raw.
NWO was over. Still is.
WWF picked Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. They picked the right people.
Even recently, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes now. It all seems like it works. They have a guy in AEW that could do this. He's got to get healthy. But MJF is that kind of talent. And he's young. But the problem is, picking the guy is one thing, AA. Being able to set him up for success is another.
I understand. And you're right. The Young Bucks and Jack Perry, you picked the wrong people to base your TV show around. And your ratings and viewership are suffering as we speak at this very moment right now. In a heated moment where your TV deal's up, by the way, at the end of the year. You see how that's going with the NBA. You should have a leg up. You should be able to prop up and say, hey, if you lose out in the NBA, hey, we're here. We're here.
If you lose out in the NBA.
We're here.
It's not going to happen. They're going to pay $3.5 billion or whatever dollars for it. And then AEW is going to be like, we want a bigger deal. And Turtle's going to be like, well, you see, we just paid double what we were paying before for NBA to keep them around.
When you make...
Will you take less?
Yeah. Oh, right. When you make the decision to pick the wrong... When you pick the wrong people, you lose viewers. When you decide to base your show around the Young Bucks and Jack Perry, as opposed to Swerve and Christian, as opposed to the follow-up to Danielson and Ospreay, and you make these decisions, Tony Storm, when you make these decisions, you lose viewers. And at the end of the day, all right, MJF's hurt. Injuries happen in wrestling. How do you adjust? And they made that choice, and they're paying the price for it.
I had a weird thing pop into my head because now we're talking about bookers. Because you mentioned Danielson and Ospreay. They made you a fan of Will Ospreay after that match. How cool would it have been this past week on Dynamite if Ospreay's in the back, they do some sort of promo, whatever it is. He's walking away. He bumps into Danielson. They just stare at each other for a couple seconds. Brian nods, puts his hand out. They shake hands. He's like, next time. And then walks away. That's how easy it is. People will be like, oh, shit, okay. What are they going to do with this now? Storytelling. Doesn't have to be this long soliloquy intro 3-minute promo. It's little things you can sprinkle into what you're already doing to build to bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So next time when those two face each other, it's not just a dream match. There's actually something on the line.
But yeah, you just gotta pick the right people. You gotta pick people because you're right. You're right. Nobody cares about Jack Perry. No one cares about Jack Perry. To a lot of people's eyes, mine included, he's a loser. He got his ass beat by CM Punk. Nobody cares.
He's shorter than you.
Nobody cares about Jack Perry.
He actually is like 5'6", 5'7".
The Young Bucks,
tiny boy.
No one cares. And the Young Bucks are chubby.
Whatever.
My point is, they don't look television presentable.
The physique thing doesn't bother me as much because I've watched guys like Kevin Owens get over and all that stuff too. But it's the personality you have, and
it's the personality and everything. And then all of a sudden, if they break, if my mom does this sometimes. You have a maid problem. But by the way, that too is a problem.
It's not necessarily a main problem. It's also just them in general too. They're just not over.
They're not over.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Yeah. You got to pick people who's over. So, cut the roster down, cut down the championships, figure out where Ring of Honor fits, figure out the direction of all of your television shows, where that leads. Tony needs a strong number 2. Tony needs somebody in there who knows television. You got to pick the right people to run your company, and that's that. Follow us on social media.
It's actually probably something we should have been doing from the beginning. We're thinking about it. We're trying to promote shit.
Nah, but follow us. Follow LPV Productions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely all of the programs over there on YouTube. That's LPV Productions, Inc. 8079. That's the last 2 digits. 8079 over on YouTube.
Look at Pete for approval.
Yeah. But also on Twitter. As well. Subscribe, YouTube. You get the full episodes and the highlights on YouTube. Subscribe. We are this close to 100 subscribers.
Great start for us on YouTube. We're happy with that. Obviously, Double A's been doing a great job of just trying to keep the other social medias afloat at this point because I put a lot on his plate, as well as TikTok. Again, Side Hustle Pod 216 over there. I've got over 1,100 subscribers on that now as well. A lot of videos getting a lot of views, a lot of opinions, a lot of people commenting. Keep that coming. Guys, this was our first Let's Fix It episode. I think for us, this is a evergreen topic, right? I mean, this can change throughout. I have some things listed through, but we also want to know what you guys were thinking about. Like, hey, I watched this and I wonder if it could have been done better, or if that person could have been presented better, or how they could have done that or this, or even if you had ideas, that kind of stuff too. Comment below, shoot us messages, whatever it is, and on some of our social media. It's open. Our DMs are wide open, not to slide in, but to at least talk about this. We're both spoken for, easy, but nevertheless, I mean, this is the thing where it's the topics that we want to make sure are engaging with you guys, and we want to try and go down these roads that maybe some people haven't really gone down in a long time, or haven't really thought about it, or just wanted to complain. I get it. I complain a lot on the podcast. It's part of what I do, but at the same point, I want to try and put a good foot forward and try and help either current or even look back in the history of all this and try and figure out how we can make things better to where they could have been, star-making performances, or could have brought people over, could have had more things go right instead of wrong. That's the whole point of Let's Fix It.
Yeah, and then ultimately, you want everybody to be around too. So that's just like you get frustrated. We get frustrated by AEW because you want it to. Competition breeds, better.
I told
quality.
you this is the whole reason we're doing this too, is because for especially in AEW's case, right? I mean, we both want them to be there. We both want them to be successful.
Yeah.
Because if they're doing really well, like actually really well, and pushing WWE, it's only going to make everything better and more fun to watch. I would enjoy watching 12 to 13 hours of wrestling a week because it's all really good. But the problem is,
he has
we're not
to take
there yet.
Tylenol after every intro. Of
I can't even watch the first segments. They opened with the Bucks intro, and then they had Edge cut a backstage thing really quick, and then Orange Cassidy comes out. Nope. Doesn't work, Tony. It doesn't fucking work. And I'm done being negative.
All right. We're done. Thank you for the 30 minutes. This was 30 minutes, right, Pete?
It ended up being an hour.
We'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you guys next time.